The world we live in faces large challenges, challenges that are existential for humanity in need of solutions. In order to develop these solutions, we need radical interdependence, entrepreneurship, leadership, and passion. Bringing leaders together in an action-oriented community is essential. B for Good Leaders is building a global cooperative community in which entrepreneurship works together. Every month, we design a leadership dialogue in which you can learn and interact with influential leaders. Welcome to this month's edition of the B for Good Dialogue.
Good afternoon and welcome to this Leaders Dialogue. My name is Francine Lemos. I'm part of B for Good Leaders team, and I'm sitting here today with Lynn, Marcello, the co-founders of B for Good Leaders. Welcome, good to have you here. And we are hosting this event from our studio partner in Eindhoven. So welcome, it's very good to have you all here. And this is the first dialogue series that we have after the summit. We are still feeling the very good energy from those 2 days. It was incredible to have the chance to gather 1,200 leaders together with one objective, to create a regenerative economy. Today, we will have the chance to relive what happened during the summit, reconnect with each other, find inspiration, and build what's coming next. And now, also, in each dialogue series from now on, we will choose one of the tracks that we saw during the summit in Amsterdam, and we're going to bring to you the outcomes, the insights, what happened during Amsterdam. So the focus of today's dialogue series is regenerative economy. And to help us, to inspire us in this conversation, we're going to have Anne Plon, founder and CEO of Paper on the Rocks, a B Corp, Felipe Vilela, founder and CEO of Renature, and Satish Kumar, one of the Winslow keepers that were present during the summit. And we are so glad to have you all here today.
Why are we doing this? We call this a leaders dialogue or a dialogue series to make it even sound better. We are doing this because in the world that is rapidly changing, we require leaders that have a fundamentally different approach to their business. And the change that we see, we call systemic change. And we need, as we said earlier, courageous leaders. We believe that the entrepreneurs are the key change makers, and we can unite their forces to create a strong, new, regenerative economy. And that is the goal for Be for Good Leaders, is to bring those leaders together in a closely committed group of committed business leaders to collectively change markets, market paradigms, behaviors for a new economy. And that is why we create every month this Leaders Dialogue.
And before we start to deep dive and relive what happened during the summit, let's take a look on a video that we prepared.
We want to create the real power in the world.
Leaders want to meet leaders.
We have actually 750 companies in the room, 1,100 of you.
We want to make something happen and create action to create a better world.
Big established global brands followed us, introducing the same kind of systems.
Will break this systemic problem that we face today. In addition to that, we think that bringing inspiration to women.
You can run a company successfully without losing your values, your principles.
So please do me a favor, spend your euro better, in a better way.
Leve embora,
Estou stealing.
patentia.
Putting a patent in this.
Ó, é minha, hein?
I take it from there.
I think you've done a fantastic job of harvesting. More will be put up. Where are we going to see this?
Well, there's going to be a legacy report that's going to be published after this summit.
This is the launch of the cooperative.
What are you going to do different next Monday?
Super exciting, and I see that there's a lot of you that has been there. But I would like to start with you, Lynn, Marcello. Can you say some words and what do you find most interesting and the insights that you gathered during the summit?
Yeah, and when we discussed this before, Francine, we said let's think about what people told us.
Yeah.
So not what are our opinions, but what did the external, what people who were there at the summit. And what excited me is that I heard from many people, leaders, companies, that they did deals together. So a lot happened there. And that was the goal. But it also happened. People told me. There was even a company who said we needed financing. And we found the financing at the summit.
Oh, that's
investors.
nice.
And that is, and they were very excited because that is people talking to each other. Also about the cooperative. We will give more information later on in this leaders dialogue. People came to me saying that this was exactly what they needed because they were part of a system but not a real cooperative working together. And I also saw that people were very excited. Our partners, we had about 40 business partners in the summit that were in the booths on the marketplace. And also there a lot happened. People did business with each other. They met and they and finally what I heard from many people, and I saw it happen, is the goodie bar. The goodie bar was completely empty by the end of the summit. So people were grabbing stuff even when the goodie bar was closed. People were still grabbing stuff. So it was exciting to see how people were filling their bags with all the nice products that we had.
It was not just a summit to find inspiration, but it was a real place where we can trade and do business together.
Yeah, and that is actually, Francine, what we had in mind.
Yeah, that's
but it has to happen when you have 1,200 people there. They have to do that.
Yeah.
And you also saw that, Marcello, eh?
Yeah, I mean, I think that for me, and a few people said very interesting things. One is that it was very easy to connect. It was actually, you could go right or left in the room and you would meet people. You immediately had something to exchange and to share with. Secondly, I think that people were very, and partly it was an intention Lynn and I had of having only women moderators and a lot of women speakers and also being present in the room, also younger women. So that really caught a lot and there was an energy that came from some of these women. It was quite amazing, actually. I think also, yesterday I was speaking to Thomas Winkelmann from SY Partners. He said they did a breakout, and after 2 days, everyone was so connected of being together, in that kind of space for 2 days. And immediately said, we've already made, appointments, seen each other, started a new project, etc. So very action-oriented. The other thing which we wanted to, and we saw that would happen, is that you remember at the end of the summit, we asked people to suggest names of other people to be invited. And we had 10,000 nominations.
10,000?
10,000 nominations. So now it's a lot of work for all of us in the team to follow up on all these nominations. And it will take months to complete, but at least we have enormous energy. Someone sent me a note which said, I'm going to invite 100 people. So it was really amazing to see that. And the final thing that I wanted to share is that several people said they felt like home. They felt that we had created a home for them, where there was no longer a question of why am I here, what am I doing? It was, people knew why they were there. So there was a lot of sort of intimacy and being really together in a kind of growing family about what we are here to do in the world, which was the big question is, hey, we entrepreneurs, we have to scale up. If we are not going to do what the world needs, who else is going to do it?
Exactly.
So, yeah.
And sometimes entrepreneurs, they felt a bit alone. And I think to find people with that thinks like they think, it's a very good way to go, right?
Like-minded people. So
like-minded
I'm also
people,
anxious, Francine, to know what the people here in the audience that we have here, if they have some remarks or what they noticed at the summit. So.
Yeah, I see there are some people that went to the summit. Do you want to share? What were the main takeouts? I see Anushu, Maria, maybe you can share your experience with us. Just open the mic and share. That's fine. We will love to listen to you. No one? Yeah, I see your hands up.
Yeah. Can you hear me? I don't know.
Yeah, we can listen to you.
Yeah, sorry, I know I'm trying to put my video on. It wasn't working. But I think this was my first experience. And I must say that the summit was really brought together the heart and the head quite well together, which is very important when you have leaders coming together. Because when you're really coming in with your whole body, then the connections last much longer. So I think there was a good emphasis to really making sure that there was a lot of emphasis on things that deeply individually impact us, as well as what we can take forward into the business. And I think that is important.
Yeah, very good point. Indeed.
I saw somebody raising it. Somebody raising his hand. Yeah,
yes.
Go ahead.
Yeah, this is Mark Goedkoop of Pure Carbon Blue. For me, it was also the first time, and I really observed, also in comparison to other events, that it was quite easy to make contact with the other participants. And most of all, I was excited about the fact that there is such a high willingness to make a change. Also, when it concerns something that is not yet perfect. And we all live in this so-called perfect world. If you buy a new bike or a new phone, it needs to be perfect. But when it comes down to the innovations that we need to make this change, it cannot be perfect today, but we may be working on that tomorrow. So I saw a lot of willingness to share that story, to tell it in your own environment, and maybe also in the end to fund the new initiatives and start working on making the change.
Yeah, and that was a really, really important thing that we try to build. It's how do we foster the actions, and we want to create this community that is working on that. So thank you.
Other hands, maybe? People that want to raise their hand to say something? We don't see all the people on the screen, so we don't see all the hands.
Yeah. Just open the mic and share, please.
All right. Maybe then I just give it a start. Also, for me, first experience.
what I found was very inspiring to meet all the different people that you could connect very quickly. What I found very interesting is also the broad diversity where people came from, individual people, where the companies came from small companies, small entrepreneurs, small startups, very large companies. And also what I found that sometimes with large companies, you feel, I'm only reacting to things. I had the impression they moved from reacting to acting. Like, in this other country, there's no recycling, so we have to make sure that we work on this one. So that the initiative is not just being pushed by somebody else, but it comes from the inside out. And that's what I had the feeling from all the people from smaller and larger, which I found very inspiring. And hopefully that will go and spread much further.
Yeah.
May I add one thing, because I think that there is a bit of engineering behind the reason why there were diverse companies, that Lane and I and our whole team, we actually invite people. We don't invite companies. So we look for people, the people who really want the change. And whether they come from a small company, medium-sized, or global company, it doesn't really matter. What matters is that people are united in this vision and this kind of drive to make a difference. So that was a bit the intention behind it. And sometimes people say, too big companies, small companies. No, the leaders are all together. The leaders who want to change, this is our mission, to bring them together into our cooperative.
Arlene, you have also, I don't see where you are, Arlene.
Yeah.
Hi.
Yeah, thank you, Lane and Marcello. This was my second time because I was in Rome last year. Just some quick observations. Number one, I am truly impressed with the momentum that has been gathered since last year. 640 last year in Rome, 1,200 plus this year, and with 10,000 extra suggestions. This is a movement whose time has come, and I'm tremendously encouraged by that. Second thing I wanted to say was that I know what the Be for Good Leaders rough declaration looked like last year, but as I read it this year, just the 5 statements, I feel that is something that is totally accessible and totally doable. And so I really do want to say congratulations to the team that worked so hard to put this together. This translates well into any culture, anywhere. And so that was there. But personally, for myself, I found the question that was asked, what are you going to do on Monday? An excellent question. It was in your face. It started me thinking, and as a result of that, we now have 3 possible collaborations that we can push forward as Rotterdam's for economics and neutrality, just based on that one question alone and the wonderful contacts we made. And so I can honestly say I found the meeting tremendously worthwhile, but it wasn't just talk. It's also pushed us to concrete actions in this area. And for that, I'm very, very appreciative.
Yeah, and that's a very good point. And you brought something that for us, it's really important, because the declaration that was built in Rome, it was co-created. It was not our job. It was done by everyone who been to Rome. And now it's our job together to make it happen, right? So thanks for that. One last comment. Zbigniew, I'm not sure if...
Yeah,
Zbigniew.
Just go ahead with Zibi. So that's the most difficult part of the conference. But yeah, from Zibi, the reflection is a big thank you for the 3 of you for being an alchemist, a catalyst, and the spirit of such an incredible event. The second point is return on investment. So many meetings, collaborations, and even engagement in couple of companies directly. So absolutely incredible. And the B Corp community in Poland is alive after this. And the third point is really a reflection after Paul Polman on stage talked about essential workers and the wealth distribution being so unequal. And it made me think about essential leaders and really coming up with the definitions for us, for this community, how we measure our impact with income and what we can give back. So really essential leaders is the headline that stays with me after the event.
Oh, very
big
good.
Thank you.
Very nice to listen. Thank you for that. And now we prepared a video, but I don't think we need to share that today. You can see online after this event. Let's move on, Marcello, with Nativa right now.
Yeah, fantastic. So, as you know, we had 6 tracks at the summit. And the one track that we picked for the session today is the regenerative economy, which was organized by Nativa and our partners and others. And our colleague and friend Eric Ezechieli, co-founder of Nativa B Corp and a partner of the B Corp in Italy, is going to share with us the highlights of that track. In the meantime, remind you, prepare questions or questions mostly, but also clarifications that you may have that you can put in the chat or share with Francine. Eric, over to you.
Hi, everyone, and great to see you again. Starting point is really reflecting about what is the concept of regeneration, and we may summarize with this quote, with this sentence, creating more value than we take, and eventually creating conditions conducive to life, making life possible and creating conditions so that humanity can thrive and all forms of life can thrive on the planet. And this is an equation that is accounting for not just the economic value, as everyone does, but we have to account for the economic, social, environmental, and also, as Satish Kumar was suggesting, the spiritual value that we create. So are we taking more value than we create, or are we creating more value than we take? So human activities become regenerative when we really make things better through our presence, through our existence, and we create more social, environmental, spiritual, and economic value than we take in order to operate. So this is just the starting point. And to summarize the key points, the key elements that emerged during those 2 days, we can say that there was a very, very strong correspondence also with the declaration, with the Before Good Leader declaration. So we found so many themes that were fitting with the commitments in the declaration. And first topic or first cluster of concepts is about stakeholder engagement and interdependence. Of course, there is a commitment to foster interdependence in the Before Good Leader declaration. And there was a lot of discussion and a lot of ideas and action coming out about how to involve the supply chains. So moving beyond a single company and mobilize the entire ecosystem and modern stakeholders really seeing this as a part of integrated living system, establishing regenerative partnerships with clients and suppliers, holding producer accountable and responsible for the end of life of the products. So really to push very strong towards circularity. And also to transform the role of retailers, because these are the intermediaries between consumers and brands. Move on very quickly. Another area very, very strongly, deeply discussed in the regeneration track was about empowering next generations and really bringing justice, equity, diversity, and inclusion at the core of the business activity, bringing the representatives of many different constituencies onto the boards, so where really the decisions are made, and to really have their insights to inform the decisions that are made by a company. And incorporate nature-based education and experiences into educational curricula. So this is fundamental to really push very, very strong on education, and business can do very, very much about this. A third theme that was, let's say, very frequent during those 2 days in this track was about measuring what matters. So prioritizing non-financial KPIs and implementing management by objectives that are aligned with those KPIs. And finally, a couple of reflections that came out. And the very, very powerful tools that we can leverage is really the legal tools and the contracts and legal documents and introducing legally binding provisions about regeneration and about interdependence into the contracts, into the bylaws, into all the contractual agreements that a company has with all kind of constituencies. And this can have a phenomenal leverage effect that can really amplify the possibility of a company to become regenerative and to involve all the stakeholders and mobilize the ecosystems. So I'll stop here and let's continue with the dialogue. Thanks.
Thank you, Eric. And I know it's such a hard job to consolidate and harvest all the acknowledgement and all the exchange that we have during the summit. And we want to keep this conversation alive. And that's why now we're going to have the opportunity to see in practice two business leaders that are working on regenerative businesses, that are creating regenerative business, that can share their experiences with us. So today, to bring this to real examples, we're going to have a conversation with Anne Plan van Eijsten, founder and CEO of Paper on the Rocks, young entrepreneur, storyteller, writer and life enthusiast. She's helping to change the paper industry, one of the most polluted ones, by developing paper alternatives, giving existing paper a platform and creating beautiful notebooks. But she's also a great storyteller, and we'll have the chance to listen from her. And Felipe Vilela. Felipe is a Brazilian regenerative agriculture entrepreneur and founder of Renature, a Dutch organization mainstreaming regenerative agriculture in the global south through implementation and trading. He's also a advisor at UN Environment, Mãe Terra, which is a Unilever brand, and ambassador of Food and Land Use Coalition. His ambition is to engage multiple stakeholders and scale their regenerative agriculture practice so that we can build a more food secure and climate resilient future. So welcome. It's a great pleasure to have you both with us.
Fantastic. So I'm going to start with Anne. And Anne, you and I had a very good conversation the other day, and I was quite blown away that you started Paper on the Rock with this sort of rock paper, and now you're changing or beginning to change the whole industry. So we had actually an amazing conversation. So congratulations. So obviously, as Francine said, it's a huge industry, huge footprint, and you obviously talk to companies and leaders in the industry, and when they ask, I want to really hear from you, when they ask you, for example, personally, how do you respond to this combination of action, impact, and change in the industry? Can you share with us?
Yes. Well, thank you for having me, first of all. Obviously, it's really difficult to change an industry that is so entangled with how business has been done for years and years. So I really acknowledge that we need to do a lot of work. And when I started the company, I started out with like a foot first. I really pushed against the paper industry to make sure that, you know, the message came across that we are going to change the paper industry. It's not a matter of maybe we'll go away or maybe I will stop, because I will not. And in the beginning, I was met with a lot of laughter, obviously, because who am I? But now, after 8 years in business, we are starting to see a shift, actually a positive shift, because we are moving to collaborations with the paper industry. And I feel that this room for change was also created because, like the example just now of the social megaphone, we created a megaphone for the issues that were at hand in the paper industry, but we also provided clear alternatives and clear paths forward for the paper industry. So for me, it gives me a lot of hope to see that now we can maybe, instead of being super activist and harsh on the paper industry, see how we can work together to create the change that is necessary.
Yeah, it's thank you, Anne, for that answer. I would like to ask a question to you, Felipe. And Felipe, it's not Philippe. Felipe, We know the importance, Philippe, of increasing impact. And what do you think are the most useful trends that you actually pick up, levers that you use or that you have chosen to apply in the business that can really change the industry into being regenerative? What do you see as the things that you can use, should use?
Well, thank you so much for this invitation. It's a really big pleasure also to be here with Marcelo and Francine, good friends, and I'm really happy to also bring also some perspective around what do I envision as a huge potential scale and impact, especially for farmers, because everything we do is a very farmer-centric kind of purpose. I come from a citrus farming family in Brazil. I always have been involved in nature-inclusive agriculture. And since I saw the deforestation in the Amazon rainforest when I was 17, I decided to take all my life and my dedication to find ways to make regenerative agriculture and agroforestry mainstream so that we can really, prove that is a business case behind regenerative agriculture. And there is, we're now working with farmers on the ground and showing that it's more profitable to work with regenerative agriculture. But one thing that is very important for farmers and also for us to scale that and reach a huge impact around food security and climate resilience issues is first of all, empowering farmers with knowledge. Second of all, is also empowering farmers with access to premiums in the market, because now a regenerative farmer is not getting a very fair price for the regenerative crops they are growing. And beyond that is also like getting new mechanization companies and tech companies to build new machineries that can be adapted to regenerative practices. Because today we lack amount of machineries that understands, for example, cover crops, no tillage, and most importantly, diversification. Nature is complex, and regenerative agriculture is building complexity for us to kind of reach ultimate, more climate resilient agriculture systems to build soil health. So tackling knowledge sharing with farmers, tackling mechanization, technology exchange with farmers, but also transition finance schemes is the most effective way we can really reach a mass scale of regenerative agriculture, so we can make sure that we can have at least 2% soil organic matter in soils to ensure a more climate resilient future. So we can build a better and safe environment and more food secure for the coming generation. So really excited to work on that and to be part of this community for us to really shake our hands and go together.
So wonderful. So actually, before I have a next question, I say, Felipe, thank you. And for all of you, if you Google Read Nature and Felipe Villela, you can read much more about what you're doing. I was really blown away by all the partnerships with some of the major companies in the world. So Felipe, thank you very much. Go back to Anne. Anne, two quick questions that are connected with each other. So what are your kind of proudest achievement so far? And what do you see as your strongest ally to you personally in achieving your impact?
Okay, good questions. First, what we are most proud of is actually that we have created a roadmap for the future of the paper industry that is decentralized, which was also always the view of Paper on the Rocks. We don't need one alternative to the regular wood pulp-based paper industry. We need locally relevant alternatives to replace that industry. So we have looked at waste streams that are available all over the world, and we have now one alternative ready to scale here in the Netherlands, and that I'm very proud of, because it really showcases also the paper industry that we are able to change the way they are working, and we can partner up. So I'm happy that we can move forward with the transition of the paper industry to be more future friendly and also to keep those trees in the ground. And the strongest and most important allies in that, first, I think it's also the paper industry. Like I mentioned, we need to work together and not against each other. But also my team. is very important for me. My team, my mentors, and the financiers that are involved in Paper on Rocks have shown me last year. Last year, I fell ill. I almost lost my life, and the company still continued. And that is also actually one of my proudest moments, because it shows that this is a sustainable organization from within, and that we have people involved who really believe that this transition is necessary and that they will remain committed whatever happens. So the company shouldn't be me. It should be an entity on its own that is also evolving forever, because we don't have a holy grail for the future of the paper industry right now, and we will not have that in the future. But we need to have an organization that keeps on learning and developing and improving without the fear of losing our world as is, because I think fear is not the right driver here. We need more awe for the world that we get to live in. So that's, I hope an answer to your question.
Well, thank you very much for sharing it. And I'm so delighted, wonderful to hear that after that accident, you've been able to actually keep the company going and your team has been so committed. So it's a wonderful example. Thank you.
Yeah, and it's very inspiring, because sometimes we feel that entrepreneurs, they have this sense of, I need to be hero, I need to fix and hold the company and everything. And I think it's amazing what you did, and to listen that, okay, the company needs to be sustainable, the team needs to be engaged. And Philippe, I would love to listen from you. What do you do to make your team hold the purpose, and how do you bring the purpose to renature, to life?
Perfect. Thanks, Fran, for the question. I think the most impactful and also the reason why we're all doing this is because we all see that climate change is impacting farmers, and we are all in a way connected to farmers as renature. So when we listen to these challenges of the climate impacts in agriculture, we have to take action, and right now, and because, for example, in Brazil, we had 20% yield decrease on coffee, which is the biggest coffee export in the world, Brazil, because of the intensive frost. We had last year also impact of almost 5.5 million reais because of the decrease of yields in soybean because of the drought. Now we're seeing floods. So climate change is impacting so much farmers, and that brings all of us, not just myself, but also Renature, and also like our stakeholders and partners, a commitment for us to find solutions for them. So we work very closely to these farmers. We're talking about 137,000 farmers in our network that we're constantly listening to it and trying to understand the challenges so we can build a more safe and more clean environment for them to be able to reach their ultimate goal, which is being food secure, having good income, and generating impact. So I think like having this sort of purpose of being farmers first kind of like organization brings us a lot of hope for a more food secure future.
Amazing. Thank you.
Fantastic. So we have time and we would like to hear from you. So I'm looking at the screen now. I see maybe Thomas Bourne, or others. Please ask one or two questions to our speakers, to Anne and Felipe.
Maybe Sean can ask a question. Sean.
Yeah.
Oh, Sean. Hi, Sean. Yeah.
Good evening from Cape Town, South Africa. Great to hear two stories, of individuals where your approach is very human-centric, and I think that's the thing that I suspect that's the thing that enables you to make it an enduring commitment in the way that you're operating. So it was more of a statement rather than the question, but I guess the question I wanted to ask the two of you is, how do you sustain your commitment to what you believe is so important?
Can I answer?
Yeah, go ahead, Anna.
Yeah. Okay, so I think it starts with how you look at yourself, how you view your position in the world. And because of what happened to me last year is, first, I was always very aggressive in my approach to change. I was always afraid. I was always angry, and I was like fighting
now we have
for improvement, right? And for change. And now I feel that we need softness towards ourselves in this whole process, because it is not easy, but it's also not up to us alone. So we need collaborations, but we also need to position ourselves in that, like, people are like a group of ants, you know, in this world, and we are just one of those little ants. If you can look at yourself like that and at your position in the world like that, it becomes easier. Like, I wake up every day, I'm just in awe that I'm alive, and in awe that I can get to do this work and be a part of maybe moving this world from a really black scenario to a little bit more gray scenario. And that gives me a lot of energy. But I'm not viewing myself or my company as being the bringer of the change on its own. And that helps.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for a very honest answer. Thank you. Thanks so much.
My story is also a bit related to Anna. It's like I when I was young and I saw the massive deforestation in Brazil, I was extremely mad, and I was like thinking, how the hell did we got here to this point where we're having to expand our agricultural practices and deforesting this huge amount of biodiversity that is like the heart of the planet. And so this anger brought me to this position now of building an organization that is working with corporates such as Nespresso to kind of build solutions and can actually change things in scale. And that really drives me a lot of, hope. And especially now that I just became a father, my baby is 3 months old. So it really builds on my kind of hope, but also like confidence that we can actually change this and transition to a more regenerative future.
Amazing.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. And I see here that we have a comment, a very interesting one from Nelsie, that leads us to the next part of the conversation. The foundation of corporate authenticity is personal authenticity. In our experience, the roadmap to system-centered behaviors starts with cultural alignment with systems and soul-centered values, then self-organized community norms within the organization. And on the next part of this dialogue series, we're going to have an amazing leader that I don't need to introduce to most of you, but anyway, it's Satish Kumar that will help us and talk about how can we from ourselves and we can bring it together and collectively build a new regenerative economy. He's peace pilgrim, lifelong activist, and former monk, and has been inspiring global change for over 15 years. So welcome, Satish. We will have the opportunity to listen, discuss with him the power of acting together, which always starts with the self, right? But before that, let's take a look on a short video that will introduce what for us is the meaning of a cooperative. That's what we are trying to build here.
On June 26, 1945, the United Nations were founded, based on a dream, an ambition to achieve cooperation amongst nations on economic, social, and humanitarian problems. 51 founding countries shared that dream. Imagine that this all would have happened. A global cooperation, a global cooperative. Long before the United Nations, a form of radical cooperation was created in 1761 in Fenwick, Scotland, where a group of local weavers created the first cooperative the world ever saw. One for all and all for one. Equality in optima forma. A new United Nations. A united enterprise. United leaders in one cooperative. One for all and all for one, in radical interdependence, with one declaration, with one dream. On May the 12th, 2023, 262 years after the first cooperative ever was founded, the Be for Good cooperative starts with the golden first rule. Membership in a cooperative is open to all people who can reasonably use its services and stand willing to accept the responsibilities of membership. regardless of race, religion, gender, or economic circumstances. Cooperatives are member-owned businesses that could be the new future.
Satish, we're very happy, as Francine said, to have you here. And to immediately start with our first question to you, I asked the audience to prepare your questions, but we are going to start. And I would like to start with the question, nature should be at the heart of everything we do. So what can we learn from nature, Satish? What is the relevance actually in cooperating with nature and with each other?
Thank you for this good question, and I'm delighted to hear all the presentations so far. And you asked about nature and how nature works. Nature works cooperatively. Take, for example, a great river. How is a great river made? When a river starts, it's a small trickle, a little source, a little spring, somewhere in the mountains, or somewhere in the hills, or somewhere on the moors, in a faraway places. And then many, many small streams come together. Little stream here, little stream there, little stream again, and hundreds of streams join together. And that makes a great river. And then that great river comes into the plains. And that's where people build their cities and their towns and their farms and their factories and their businesses. So nature is our teacher. Nature is our mentor. We should learn from nature to cooperate and work together. A forest is made of many, many small, large trees and bushes and scrubs. In the same way, a great movement is made of many, many individuals, many, many groups, many, many organizations coming together. All our thriving is mutual. All our flourishing is mutual. Mutuality is the basis of cooperation. There is no one person can do anything. To take all the great movements of the past, social transformation. I had a great privilege of meeting Martin Luther King. And that movement against racism and discrimination and segregation was made of many, many small groups and organizations and individuals coming together. Take the example of Nelson Mandela. The anti-apartheid movement was brought together in many, many countries. I was part of that. Mahatma Gandhi, environmental movement, regenerative agriculture, regenerative economy. This has to be a cooperative work together. We are stronger together. No one individual can change the world, but together we can change the world. So nature is our teacher, and we learn from nature. One thing we should remember, nature is not just a resource for the economy. At the moment we say natural resources, we think humans are superior and above nature, and nature is there to be exploited for the economic growth. I think we have to change this world view. We have to think nature or natural resources and nature not just a means to an end, the end of economic growth. Nature is a life itself. Nature is a source of life. So learn from nature to work together, to cooperate, and create a cyclical economy. Nature is cyclical. Everything, whatever comes from nature goes back into nature. Whatever comes from the source of the earth and the soil goes back into the earth and back into the soil. This cyclical economy is a regenerative economy. So learn from nature to create a cyclical economy. All your businesses you are doing, make sure that they are all cyclical and not linear. Linear economy is take from nature, see nature as a resource, inferior from humans, humans above, nature below, take from nature, use it for human production, consumption, and industry, and all those things, and then throw it away into the sea. The plastic is thrown away in the sea. The seas are full of plastic. And the carbon emission creating global warming. All that is seeing nature only as a resource for the economy. Cyclical economy is different. Linear economy has to change and stop if you are learning from nature. And cyclical economy, life is a cycle. Time is a cycle. Nature is a cycle. So learn from nature and make a cyclical economy and work together like many streams work together and make a great river. And your Be for Good leaders will be a great success. And you will be stronger than all the big companies, and they will disappear. And small companies have more power. Much more business is done by small companies. I was a friend of E.F. Schumacher, and he wrote a book called Small is Beautiful. So don't worry if your business is small. Big change will come from small businesses, and that big business will change. So change will come from you. So this is my take on nature. Nature is our teacher. Nature is our mentor. Learn from nature, and our economy will be regenerative. Thank you.
So Satish, thank you. I think you have said a lot of things, and you have actually helped me with the question I had in mind. So I changed it slightly. And my question is, you have been so much involved in movement building, with Schumacher College, with Resurgence Magazine. And in the early years, it was people who perhaps were not in the mainstream of business. And now with Be for Good Leaders, we are actually seeing that mainstream business is open and listening and being part of it. So the question to you is, you've been in this movement for 40, 50 years. Do you think we're now reaching more of a tipping point where, in a way, regenerative business and economy becomes the way to be, becomes the mainstream way? How do you see that?
Yes. Marcello, you are absolutely right. I agree with you that now we are reaching a tipping point, a turning point, a great turning, because many of you who are participating in Be for Good Leaders conferences, and I had a privilege and honor of being in Amsterdam this last year, an honor of being in Rome last year, year before. So we had these conferences, and that's a sign and symbol that business leaders are changing their way of thinking, and they are coming together to transform business into regenerative business. So we are reaching a turning point. And also, the nature is calling us to become transformative and regenerative economy. Because climate change, global warming, even now in India, people are dying because of the heat wave. And so the nature is calling us and pressing on us that we must change our economy, make it more cyclical and more regenerative. So yes, I agree with you that we are at a turning point, at a tipping point. And this is the moment when we have to transform our business and make it nature friendly and earth friendly, so that we humans and nature are not separate, Marcello. We are nature. We are as much nature as forest, mountains, animals, birds, and butterflies. We are nature. We should not see ourselves as separate from nature. And what we do to nature, we do to ourselves. Because we have to drink the water if we pollute it. We have to breathe the air, we put carbon emission in it. So nature and humans are not separate. And that understanding will change our worldview and our business and our industry and our commerce. So I think we are at a very great moment of transformation. We are reaching a turning point.
Thank you.
Thank you, Satish. We are, as you know, and you spoke about it, we're building a cooperative. A cooperative is not a new legal form. It's basically a very old, 100 years old form of people, companies working together. There have been banks that came forward out of that. In the Netherlands, we have the Boerenleen Bank, which is a bank that was for farmers, was also a cooperative. So bringing companies and people together, we think we should bring people together. What do you see as the best ways to come together? How can we, do you see forms, how we can bring people together?
The legal format of cooperatives is a very good form. And as you say, for a long time, we have had this cooperative movement. But that cooperative movement has remained a small and a kind of fringe. Now that cooperative movement, worker ownership and participatory business has to become mainstream. And you forming a cooperative or be the good leaders is a very good start. So legal form is good. But more than legal form, what we need to do is to have a consciousness of working together. We have to move from ego to eco. At the moment, we are either a personal ego, me, my success, my name, my fame, my money, my profit, my big house, my big car, me. So cooperative ideals and cooperative consciousness is to move from me to we. Our success, our progress, our. And then our includes nature as well. So this cooperative movement has two forms. One is the legal form, which is very useful, very helpful. We need that legal form. But more than legal form is a consciousness. They're working together from ego to eco, from me to we. Eco is a very beautiful word. Eco means home, and home means working together. Family, friends, guests, father, mother, children, brother, sister, together. So from ego to eco, that's a cooperative ideal. So cooperative is these two forms, legal and consciousness. And we need to work together. If we can move from ego to eco, from me to we, and say, my personal success is also important as the success of the whole community, whole country, whole planet. We are one planet. Whole cosmos is our country. Whole planet is our home. Nature is our nationality. And love is our religion. If that consciousness can emerge, that is the true cooperative movement. But of course, legal frame is also very important and necessary and helpful. But we have to move not just the legal form of cooperative, but the consciousness of cooperative, of singing together and celebrating diversity. Diversity of life, diversity of business, diversity of biodiversity, cultural diversity, economic diversity, religious diversity. We should celebrate diversity. That way is a celebrating and cooperating together.
Yeah, thank you, Satish. There are now questions also coming from the audience. I have a question here that I'm going to read to you. I don't see the name of the person who is asking the question. Huh?
Hilda.
Oh yeah, Gilda. Gilda is asking the question. So maybe Gilda, I can invite you to ask the question to Satish yourself.
Okay, hello everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Gilda. Very nice to see you here. Thank you for this space. Yeah, I think Satish, I love what you said. I'm very inspired when you talk about nature. But I see also that the small businesses are being faster on making this change. But the big corporations are the ones that we need to kind of transform somehow, So my question is, how can we help those big companies also on this transition towards becoming more human and nature friendly? How can we, help them or invite them to join us in this movement that we are?
Yeah, that is a very good question. First of all, I would like to say that small companies are the foundation of business. If small companies change, big business will change. But big business will not lead the change. Small companies will lead the change, and big companies will follow. That's one. So don't worry about big business. Start with small business and build a good cooperative movement of change and transformation, regenerative economy, starting from the bottom up and starting from the below up. So that's the one. The other is big companies are also now beginning to listen to small companies. For example, Patagonia was a big company, is a big company, but they are changing. For example, Unilever, Paul Polman was CEO of Unilever, and he brought about a few changes there. So there are small changes are visible. But my hope, greater hope, is on small business. That's a grassroots level, bottom up. And when many small, and they are the biggest. Small companies are big famous, but big companies are famous, but small companies hold the world. Is the majority of economy is run by small companies. So small companies have very valuable and very important contribution to make. So do not underestimate, do not undervalue, do not underrate the importance, the significance, and the power of small companies.
Thank you, Satish. That was also, thank you for the question, Gilda. That was also what Anna said, I think, the power of small companies. We have time, and I have permission from Francine to ask you one more question from the audience. It's from a person called Vinicius de Paula. I don't know if I pronounce your name correctly, but maybe, Vinicius, you can ask the question to Satish yourself.
Hi, everyone. Hi, Mr. Satish. It's an honor to see you again, Mr. Satish. 2 questions. First of all, how do you see the ego challenges associated on the agents of change and social entrepreneurs, systemic change journeys, how we see the challenges, and how do you perceive the approach of communities of practices as catalysts to create more diverse and representative business networks and ecosystems?
Yes. So at the grassroots level, as I said, we have to do 3 things. First of all, the companies and also individuals within the companies have to set a good example. Because words are important. We communicate with words, but words are only powerful when they are backed by example. So if we want to create a new ecosystem of regenerative economy, we have to set good examples individually and small companies, and then hopefully big companies which follow. So good example is the first thing. Be the change that you want to see in the world. Famously, Mahatma Gandhi said this. Be the change, be the radiator. When your radiator radiates heat, then room becomes warm. So you are a radiator. I'm a radiator. Each and every one of us is a radiator. Each and every one small business is a radiator. So be the change to change the world. Change will start from each and every one of us. Example. Number 2, communicate the change. And that's a very good thing that we, for good leaders, and we are all trying to communicate these ideas on a large scale, on a big platform where 1,200 people can come together, and then they can take the message and spread the word in their own communities. So through communication, communicate through poetry, through music, through singing, through writing books, through many ways, communicate the change. Because without communication, we will not spread the word. And the third is what I said before, cooperative. Join together. Joining together will change the ecosystem of business and change the whole atmosphere. So join, and if there are good people doing good work, support them, help them. Each business should spend at least 1/4 of their profit in supporting new NGOs, new initiatives, new movement, so that they can take the vision forward. At the moment, many new groups are suffering from funding and support, so that if you can support and join other people and create new NGOs and new organizations and new initiatives and new groups who are leading the world, like Be for Good Change is that kind of organization. So these are the 3 things you do to create this system, ecosystem that you have mentioned. Be the change, communicate the change, and join others to change. And that way we can do our best. Only thing we have to do is to do with hope. Be an optimist. If you are pessimist, you will not act. Because why bother, you will say. Nothing will change. Nobody will be listening. Why bother? So do not be a victim of pessimism. Optimism. An activist has to be an optimist. If you are a pessimist, you might become a journalist, but not an activist. If you are a change leader, you have to have a hope. Hope, but active hope, not a passive hope. Active hope means that I want to change, I have hope that will change, but I will act for it. I will do something for it. I'm not going to just sit and wait for some nice miracle to happen. Miracle and magic happen when you help them to happen. And therefore, we have to kind of actively hope and actively work. So be an optimist, be hopeful, do your best, and then the world will change. That's all we can do. The actual results are not in our control, but action is in our control. And so like Be for Good Leaders, they could action. That's all you can do. And then hope that people will join and the world will be a different place and we will be able to create a new world, a new humanity, a new earth where everybody can love with each other and live with each other and love each other and respect each other and serve each other. Business should have a sense of service. All businesses, whatever you are producing, paper, clothes, shoes, anything you are producing, food, farming, so all in the service of humanity.
Yeah.
Humans are not simply, in my talk at the Amsterdam, I said, humans are not simply a resource for running a business. Human resources, HR. I said to business leaders in Amsterdam that change HR from human resources to human relationship.
Wow,
so
that's great.
Human relationship, human dignity comes first. Integrity of nature comes first. And business, economy in the service of humanity, in the service of planet Earth. That is a good model for business.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Satish. That was really inspired. I don't know about you, but I want to stand up and start working right now. It's unbelievable. Thank you. It is very inspirational. And what you brought, it was really important to the next part. And I would like to now continue with Lynn and Marcello to understand, because the cooperative that we are trying to build, and this model came as a natural pace, as a natural step to build the vision that we had at Be for Good Leaders in place. So why do you believe this is the way to go?
Well, the way to go. This is, of course, there's always several ways to go, but we think that this was, we thought about it for many, many months and worked on it. We didn't only think, we worked on it with lawyers, with friends, with our stewards to talk with them about what we should do. If you see that there are many leaders in the world that are want to move in the same direction, and so quite often they feel that they are part of a group, but there is no group, or there was no group. So companies that want to change themselves, either being a B Corp, being a benefit corporation, being a company that uses the BIA, there are 250,000 companies that are not a B Corp, that maybe don't even want to become a B Corp. So, but use all those companies and then go to the leaders and bring those people, not a company, but people together. We, after long discussion, we found out that by far the best model would be the cooperative model. And a cooperative is when people work together, as Satish just said.
Yeah.
They help each other when they need each other. They do business together. They share intelligence together. They have financing for each other. When there's a company poor, another one helps, and the other way around. So that model we created, and we also built, we have worked months on it already, a software package which is called the Exchange. And the Exchange is the place where this all will happen. So, for example, if you want to do business in Chile, if I would like to do business in Chile, who can I trust? Who do I know there? And that is one of the biggest problems for business people. Who can I trust when I want to do business? Who has the same set of values? It is not so easy. And if you then see those companies, who in those companies can I go to? And that is, and bringing that all together in an exchange as a platform for the cooperative, we thought would be the best way. So that is, and a cooperative has members, no owners. So it has members, and every member has a vote. Every member has one vote. So we're all equal in that. And the money that is being made is being used for the members in the cooperative. So it's a very inclusive model. And that is why we thought we build it like that. As Marcello said, we have already 10,000, not 10,000, we have 10,000 nominations for members at the summit. But before that, we already had 25,000 people that we have brought in and that we are bringing into this cooperative. And the goal, and then I give it to Marcello, the goal is, of course, that we want to have at least quickly 100,000 members of the cooperative. We know who they are, and we just have to bring them in, and then we work together.
It's like, it came to me the image that Satish brought to us of the river. We are gathering leaders. So we hope it becomes a huge river.
And as Satish said, it is already there. You know, it is there. The rivers are there, the streams, the ponds, the sources, they are already there.
We just need to connect,
we have to create a mechanism where people can come together and basically, and we are not doing it alone, we can never do it alone.
Of course.
So we have the 50 stewards, we have the 10,000 people, so and we can only do it when we do it together.
Yeah, and what about?
So I want to add that, you know, I see there are people like Sean from South Africa, Benoit from Switzerland. So I've been working in this wider movement for many years, even before, of course, B Corps. And many of these networks that we have created or been involved in. So the cooperative is really a vehicle, is an instrument for all of us to become more powerful in changing the economy. If we stay the little streams and never become the river, we're not going to change. You see now there's also a lot of counter action by the sort of businesses and people who don't want to change. We see ESG in America, very polarized. We see many countries. So we are not going to be able to make a difference if we don't come together. So that is what Lane and I, and with our stewards, we thought this is the instrument we need. As Satish said, cooperative. So at the end of the day, if we, people like us who run businesses, own companies, we are executives in companies, if we don't come together and create the movement, we're not going to change.
Yeah.
So the invitation is for all of us to say we just need to take the next step. And the beauty, as Lane was saying, the beauty of what we have done is we created the exchange and a business model that allows this to be also financially successful. Because very often these associations, these networks, they're always fundraising, they don't have a good business model. So we want to have a good business model so that this is going to be financially successful and allows us to do things like reach out to the Global South, reach out to the next generation of leaders, reach out in the world of education. We need to also change the mindset of the young people and professors at university, business school. So this is the task ahead. And the final thing I say is, if we, you know, there's this famous words, you know, if not now, when, if not us, who, if not here, where? What are we waiting for?
Yeah.
I mean, we have to do it.
So we have the leaders with the same visions. We see during the summit that we want to act together. Now we're just creating this container to grab and to bring leaders together. That's amazing. And thanks for that. But we also we are building, right? It's not everything in place yet, far from that. And we do want to listen to you all. And now we're going to have some time to discuss and interact to see what can a cooperative of leaders for good can bring value to you. We're going to have some time to go to breakout rooms to listen to you and gather your feedback on how can we improve, how can we make this happen. Daniel will explain the activity.
A brief activity. We're just going to open all the breakout rooms and give you the word. So the small groups really think this is not my, your, somebody else. This is our cooperative. It has to work. And therefore, what would make it work? What are the key elements that are most important for you? It's a short 10 minutes. The breakouts will open. Dream big. Make it happen. If you could harvest your thinking in the Google spreadsheet that you have there in the Zoom chats, that'd be fantastic. So we can make sure that it is embedded. Let those rivers flow into this beautiful cooperative. I'm now opening all the breakout rooms.
Thank you all for all your ideas. As Daniel said, now we have a Bible, the spreadsheet with all the ideas, and of course we are going to use that a lot. Before we close and being respectful with the time, Lynn, Marcello, do you have a final words to say?
Final quick word. So there's two ways to be engaged in the cooperative. One is we nominate. We, Lane and I, and the stewards and others, so we actually send you a nomination that we select you as being a member. And thirdly, there's self-nomination, so people can self-nominate, but still we have a rule that at least two of us needs to approve the nomination because we want to keep the values the same. So you're going to hear from us, and it will be, we know already 10,000 nominations, but we would like more. So thank you.
Yeah, well, my final remark, Francine, is that we are working now and building the mechanism to bring the members in, Marcello. But the thing that I'm very happy about also, and that is surprising, is that we also have founding members. And founding members in the cooperative also invest in the cooperative. So we made this whole legal situation and structure for founding members. And so far, since the summit and now, we have raised €500,000, 500,000 euros from founding members. Yeah. So that is amazing. And there are many founding members. One of our stewards once said, we don't want big investors. We want many, many small people that invest. And that is so, and that has surprised actually and amazed all of us. That goes in such a high speed.
It's not because of the money, because it's important, but because it's show us that they are trusted and they believe.
People believe, and people think it's important. They believe, they support, and that is almost a little bit emotional.
Yeah, great. So, yeah, with this emotion, we close this Leaders Dialogue series. I would like to thank you all for being here with us today, and especially our table guests, Felipe, Satish, Eric from Nativa, Lynn, Marcello, the whole team that is behind the scenes helping us to build everything. And it was a great pleasure to have you all with us. We're going to see, we already prepared the next dialogue series. We're going to have a break now to enjoy the summer, as most of people from the north is going to do, right? But we will return in September with new dialogue series. We are going to release a newsletter so we can keep in touch. And I'll kindly ask Svetlana and Daniel to put on the chat an email where you can find us. And if you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach us. It was great to have you here. Thanks. I would like to give a huge thank to iTeam Global, who offered this studio to us, of course, and be inspired.